Ronald Reagan waved his fist to it at a campaign rally in New Jersey. September 1984. The crowd went wild. Flags everywhere. Born in the USA blasting through the speakers, but the man who wrote that song was furious. Because Born in the USA is not a patriotic anthem. It is not a celebration. It is a song about a broken soldier who came home from Vietnam and found nothing waiting for him. No job, no welcome, no future. Just a country that had already moved on. Reagan didn't just misunderstand the song. He was warned, directly by Springsteen's own manager, not to use it. He used it anyway. And 3 days later, Bruce Springsteen walked onto a stage in Pittsburgh and told 70,000 people exactly what the song was really about. This is the story of the most misunderstood song in American history. A song that made millions of people feel proud, while its writer was trying to show them something they didn't want to see. The man in Born in the USA has a name, but Springsteen never gives it to you. You just know who he is. He grew up in a small town, got into trouble. A recruiter showed up and gave him a choice, jail or Vietnam. He chose Vietnam, he came back. And that's where the real nightmare began. He goes to the VA, the Veterans Office, looking for help. They tell him, "Son, don't you know, I got a debt to pay." He goes looking for work. The refinery, the highway, nothing. His hometown has nothing left to offer him. His brother died in the war. His best friend from combat is gone. He is alone, broke, invisible, standing in the shadow of the penitentiary, staring at nothing. That's the song. Every verse is another door slammed in his face. The chorus doesn't celebrate America. It is the sound of a man screaming because he has nowhere else to go. Born in the USA is not pride. It is a howl. The title didn't come from Springsteen. It came from a screenplay. In the early 1980s, filmmaker Paul Schrader, the man who wrote Taxi Driver, was working on a film about a Vietnam veteran struggling to survive in post-war America. The screenplay was called Born in the USA. Springsteen read it. The title hit him like a fist. He didn't take the story from the script, but he took those 4 words and built his own character around them. A man defined by where he was born and abandoned by the same country that sent him to war. The song came fast. Springsteen wrote it in one sitting, January 1982, during the same sessions that would produce Nebraska, his spare acoustic album about working-class desperation. The first version of Born in the USA was recorded that same day. Just Springsteen, a guitar, and a cassette recorder. It sounded nothing like what the world would eventually hear. Before the drums, before the stadiums. Before Reagan's fist pump, there was a different song. The original demo, recorded in January 1982, was quiet. Just acoustic guitar and voice. No triumph, no explosion. It fit perfectly alongside the songs on Nebraska. Dark, lonely, defeated. Played that way, no one could mistake it. The pain was right on the surface. Then Springsteen brought it to the E Street Band. The drums came in. Massive, thundering. Synthesizers rose. Guitars locked into a riff that sounded like a factory running at full power. Suddenly, the same words, the same broken veteran, were wrapped in a sound that felt like victory. Springsteen later admitted he understood what the arrangement was doing to the meaning. But the album version was undeniable. He kept it. That decision would follow him for decades. Born in the USA, the album came out June 4, 1984, and it was unlike anything that had happened in rock music before. 7 singles from one album reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. 7. No rock album had ever done that. The record sold 30 million copies worldwide. It spent 7 weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200. Springsteen became the defining American rock star of the decade. His face was on the cover of Time and Newsweek in the same week, August 1984. The tour sold out stadiums across the country. Concert after concert, city after city, crowds of 60 and 70,000 people. And every night, when the opening chords of Born in the USA hit, the crowd erupted. They pumped their fists. They waved flags. They felt something enormous and American. Most of them had never read the lyrics closely. They had heard the chorus and decided what the song meant. And what it seemed to mean, in that sound, in that moment, was pure, uncomplicated American pride. By the summer of 1984, Ronald Reagan was running for re-election. His campaign wanted a soundtrack, something that felt like American strength and optimism. They reached out to Springsteen's camp and asked permission to use Born in the USA. John Landau, Springsteen's manager and one of the most respected figures in the music industry, said no, clearly. The song was not available for the campaign. Reagan's team used it anyway. On September 19, 1984, at a campaign rally in Hamilton, New Jersey, Reagan invoked Springsteen by name in a speech. He talked about America's future, about hope and hard work, and suggested that Springsteen's music captured the spirit of the country. The crowd loved it, the press covered it, and the message spread. Reagan and Springsteen, two American icons pointing in the same direction. Except Springsteen had said no, and the song Reagan was celebrating was about a Vietnam veteran that America had abandoned and forgotten. 3 days after the Reagan rally, Bruce Springsteen was on stage in Pittsburgh. He didn't mention Reagan by name. He didn't have to. The crowd knew. The press had been buzzing about it for days. Springsteen introduced a song from his set, not Born in the USA, but a slower, quieter track. And he talked about what he saw when he drove through America. The shuttered factories, the towns with no jobs, the veterans living on the street. He said, plainly and directly, that the men and women who had served in Vietnam deserved better than what they got. And that his music was not about looking away from those people. It was about looking directly at them. The crowd went quiet. Then they erupted. It was not the loudest moment of the tour, but it was the most important. Springsteen had drawn a line. He was not going to let the most powerful man in America turn his song about betrayal into a campaign commercial for the same system that had done the betraying. Reagan was not the last. In 1984, Walter Mondale, Reagan's Democratic opponent, also tried to use Born in the USA for his campaign. Springsteen said no to him too. In 1996, Bob Dole used the song at campaign events. In 2000, Pat Buchanan played it at rallies. Neither asked, neither received permission. Each time, the pattern repeated. A politician heard the chorus, that huge fist-pumping Born in the USA, and assumed it was theirs to use. Each time, they either hadn't read the lyrics or had decided the lyrics didn't matter. The irony was almost unbearable. The song was written about the exact kind of person those campaigns often failed to address. Working-class veterans, unemployed men, people left behind by the economy and the government alike. Springsteen kept saying no. He kept explaining. And every few years, another politician reached for the song, as if the lesson had never been learned, as if the chorus was too powerful to resist. So why does it keep happening? Why does a song this dark get heard as a celebration? The answer is in the music itself. The chorus of Born in the USA is 4 words, repeated, over a sound that hits like a natural disaster. The drums pound, The guitars lock in. Springsteen's voice, raw and huge, becomes indistinguishable from the music around it. It doesn't sound like a man in pain. It sounds like a man in power. That contrast, devastating lyrics buried under triumphant sound, is what makes the song a masterpiece. It is also what makes it so easy to misread. Springsteen himself has spoken about this. He understood the risk when he kept the E Street Band arrangement. He knew the music was doing something to the words. But he also believed that the people who needed to hear it, the veterans, the factory workers, the people the song was written for, would hear it. He was right. And he was wrong. Both things happened at once. The song reached everyone, and not everyone heard the same thing. Decades passed. The misreadings continued. But something shifted. In 2021, Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen launched a podcast together, Renegades, Born in the USA. 8 episodes, 2 men talking about America, identity, and music. The title was not an accident. Springsteen returned to the song. He talked about the veterans behind the lyrics, the gap between his intention and what the world received. Obama listened and pushed back. As someone who had also watched symbols get co-opted and meanings get reversed. The podcast reached millions who had never read the lyrics closely. Born in the USA is now 40 years old. It has been misused by presidents from both parties. It has played at Super Bowls and 4th of July celebrations. Springsteen wrote it about a man America forgot. America made it into an anthem. And somewhere in that gap, between what the song says and what people hear, is everything unresolved about this country. Ronald Reagan pumped his fist to Born in the USA in 1984. He saw pride. He saw strength. He saw America winning. Bruce Springsteen saw a veteran standing outside a VA office with nowhere to go. Both of them were listening to the same song. That is what makes Born in the USA unlike almost anything else ever written. It doesn't just tell a story. It holds a mirror up. And depending on where you're standing, you see something completely different. The man in the song was born in the USA. He fought for the USA. He came home to the USA. And the USA moved on without him. Springsteen never resolved that. He never wrote a happy ending, because there wasn't one. There still isn't. Not for every veteran who came home to nothing. Not for every town that never recovered. Not for every person the chorus passed over while the flags were waving. That's the song. That's always been the song. And now you've heard it.